Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the More For Me and You podcast. Today we have our very first guest on, Jacqueline Elyse Rosenthal. She's a filmmaker and graduate from USC, and we get a chance to talk about her film BACKLOG, which was the first ever winner of the Mometu short film contest. And then later on, we talk about a film that she picked that's now playing for free on Mometu, the Korean crime drama, The Policeman's Lineage. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first episode of the More For Me and You podcast. We'll see you in the pod.
Yeah, that's right. You're tuning in to the More For Me and You podcast. That's real interviews, real movie reviews, real people, real journeys. If you real, lock in. I've been working all night, early in the morning. If you hustle high, hustle, you can never waste a moment. That's more for me and you. 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 Let's go.
Jacqueline, thank you so much for coming here and being on the More For Me and You podcast.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate you coming down and spending some time with us.
Thank you.
We obviously met at the Mometu short film contest that you happened to win
Thank you. Yes.
with your short film BACKLOG.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I appreciate
I haven't been able to say congratulations in person yet, which is it's quite difficult, right? We do things virtually nowadays and on the
Yeah.
phone and all that stuff. So it's great to meet you in person and just say congratulations for all the hard work that you put into that film. And
Thank you.
it definitely showed. I mean, our users loved that film, and it shows exactly, why you won. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience just being in the contest and, just kind of your thoughts about what we did and if we should do it again, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was great. Honestly, I liked watching the other filmmakers' work as well. I got to watch a lot of the films, and I think I really appreciate platforms that celebrate short films. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but I appreciated that we were able to get the film out to audiences too. Personally, making BACKLOG was kind of one of the things that I am most proud of as an artist, that I got a chance to, you make a lot of films and sometimes you make something that's really personal and something that feels that it could actually help people who, might be silenced by a system. And that's what that film was about for me and for a lot of survivors of sexual assault. So I got a lot of messages from people who watched the film on your platform, and it actually made its way to a few survivor groups and that I'm a part of. So to see that was really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It didn't feel like a contest for me. It just felt like celebrating people's films and what they were about. So yeah, I was very grateful, and I got to, anytime you get to share stuff with your cast and crew is really special too. And I got to let them know, like, guys, this story is resonating with people, and it's online and you can finally share it. We went through a 2-year festival run.
Yeah.
So we couldn't share the film publicly for 2 years. So that was really hard for me. We did impact screenings, but those were limited to whatever city in person that they were having them. So we weren't able to screen online. So that was really great too.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we started the contest in the first place, was because there are films like yours and others that were in the contest as well. And there's many more out there that don't get the opportunity to be seen. And once you've gone through like the festival circuit, it is draining, right? Like
Yeah.
spend a lot of time traveling and moving around, and then hopefully your film gets selected. So then you're, okay, well, how can I get to New Hampshire? And it's like you're always trying to figure out how you can make it successful, because it's not just about it being in a festival. It's also like being there and being present and being part of the Q&A and the connections that are made, right? So once you get done with that, like there were some people that were interested in the contest, but they were like, you know what? I think I'm just done, like with the run, right? Like it was just like, it was finally just to a point where like, no, I think we're good with that project. We'll move on to the next one. So I'm so blessed, or we are blessed, and I'm very glad that you decided to give it one more chance to be out there after 2 years.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like there's so many people that still need to hear that story and,
Yeah.
and watch that film. So I'm hoping we can get it back onto Mometu as well.
I would love
soon
that, yeah.
and continue to celebrate it. We'll see if that happens.
I would love. I'm a proponent of that happening. We'll see how we can make it happen. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm very happy because the film right now, even being on the what do you call it officially? The
Mometu short film contest.
Okay, yes. I did have a meeting with the director of development that I had met, and I referred him like, oh, instead of just sending a link, I was like, why don't you watch it on Mometu's platform? So he did watch it, and it was kind of exciting to be able to share it in that way too, as opposed to it's just strange. I really want to publicly get the story out there as much as possible. And so to be sitting on a link that I wasn't sharing online, it just didn't feel right with a film about a cause that's really timely. As you know, from watching the film, they don't test rape kits in the United States most of the time. Only 13 out of 1,000 cases usually even go to trial, and they don't test for sexual assault. And they don't want to test that kit unless they think a jury will believe a survivor, which is just very backwards rhetoric. And that's literally in writing, those kind of phrases. So it's hard to not keep the wheels going on a film like this. If I had, my best case scenario on what to do, I would love to screen this film in Washington, D.C. I would love to get it to Capitol Hill. Like, these are things that still need to happen. And when you're a social impact filmmaker, you never feel like you're doing enough. So there's always, it's really intense. You feel this like ticking time bomb that is the film. Like, you start to live the film in some way. And it's interesting because I've worked on 4 films since BACKLOG. But this one is with me the most, and it's still there. And anytime I have an opportunity to talk about it again, I just jump at the opportunity. So yeah, I'm open to having screenings in the places where policymakers are going to be, but even sharing it online through platforms that you never know who's going to find it is equally as important. And to be able to just direct them toward a site and not have to do, the craziness of, oh, here's this secret link with this secret password. It's just, it's strange. Like, you want to share it. So it's been nice. And there is a feature version of it that Valerie and I are working on, and it's nice. Like, it's started to see the light of day a little bit. It's been in a couple screenwriting labs, so it feels like that film, the feature version of it, could be within the next year or so, like picked up and ready to go. So
I feel like films like this are typically done in the style of a documentary, right? And so it's not as impactful. I think the way that you did it, as far as being as in the world of a drama and making it impactful that way, make it relatable for people, I think was so important, because you get the party scene and you get, and that literally happens to, unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of young girls, especially, that this happens to. And I'm sure there's some young boys it happens to as well.
Yeah.
And, I don't know enough about the topic to talk on it, nor do, want to make the podcast about that specifically, but it's like, it's so important that you did it in a way to where people are going to want to watch it, right? Not everyone's a fan of documentaries. And I think the way you just did it, it just made it so, it made it so almost like pop culture-ish in a sense, to where like anyone can watch it.
Well, I made it for like the younger version of me, and I did not watch documentaries back then. And I think a lot of college kids just, some don't. And I didn't want this to be limited. I wanted to make this for that demographic. I wanted to make this for, the film is shot where you're meant to feel like you're going through this yourself. And I really didn't want it to be like, this is a film for women, or this is a film for guys. This is a film for anyone. It's a film for like human beings. And so it was really important that you saw this person, and she wasn't uniquely anything. She was just a human being that you really liked and connected to. And especially in the feature, like, you just, it's different, because I talked to Valerie, and she said, why don't you add your own personality into it as much as you want? And so I was a dancer, and I just stopped dancing. I just hated like feeling like anyone was watching me do anything, like any spotlight. I was so against it. So there's so many elements now of just movement. And as a director, you get to, as a writer director, because I've been directing other people's projects for a while, and I love doing that too. But there's just something that's a bit different about writing and directing, because you can already start writing the scenes as if you're directing them a little bit. And it's disrespectful to do that if you're coming in for someone else's, baby. But yeah, there's just moments of motion and fluidity and just like watching someone dance. And then all of a sudden, that's no longer at all part of this person's identity. And I think we can all relate to like something, even if it's like from childhood that you love so much. And then just one day it's just gone.
Yeah.
But with this film, it's like, it's not just gone. It was like taken from her. So it really has, yes, it has to do about what happens to people when their rape kits are collected by the US and never tested. Like, can you imagine that kind of disrespect and never told that it's, you can't even call to track it. That's the worst part. Like you can call, they stop tracking it after a while. So you're just like an ID number and not even a name. That's why they can't really track it. So it's just not okay. But so there's that. And then there's just the human side of like, anything traumatic that happens to a person. And then they're just like lose a part of themselves. So it's nice to be able to actually help someone get into that. With a documentary, I love them, but I just ran into one of my favorite filmmakers at a coffee shop. I was writing a revision on the feature, and she came up with her dog, and I had to foster from the fires, and she was talking to me, and I just said, "Oh my God, I know who you are." And she sat down.
Like, embarrassing. You know who you are.
No, I was like, wait, I wanted to play it cool. I won't say her name. I wanted to play it cool. But she's like one of the biggest female writer directors like of our generation. And so I wanted to play it really cool. And I was like, oh, you look familiar. Have we met?
Nice.
And she's like, I'm blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. You're like, you don't say. I no idea. I had no idea that. I just looked familiar.
Yeah, but she like sat next to me and she gave me notes on the script for 35 minutes, which was so cool. She didn't have to do that. And she said, this could be a documentary. And I messed up because I told her like, oh, I don't really watch too many of those.
I don't really watch all the films that you make. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and luckily she doesn't make docs, or else that would have been really rude. But yeah, and that's why I was like, And then she gave me like a laundry list of documentaries that I should watch and give it a shot. And so I wrote them all down. Haven't watched any of them, but but it was.
If you're hearing this, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't watch them.
Yeah, she was so great. But she sat there and gave me notes for 35 minutes, and it was really cool.
That's great.
Really cool. And she said, this could be a documentary. And I realized like how much I don't want it to be, because I just was here. You're talking to like your idol. And I was just telling her all these reasons why, like, no, but thank you. No, I don't think so. And she was like, well, that was kind of a test, because clearly you know what you want this to be. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, thank you for making Backlog and bringing that story to everyone. I'd love to actually learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about being a dancer, which is great, but like, how did you go from Jacqueline, the child dancer, to Jacqueline,
the tiny dancer,
to the big time director? I mean, how did that transition happen, and how did you get into becoming a director?
Yeah. How like honest do you like how like
this is your time?
This, like what is this like the R like how vulnerable and real is the podcast?
You can be as vulnerable as real as you like to be.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I really just remember growing up. I was a child actor, and I grew up in LA, so obviously a child actor. Like when you hear that, you think, oh, Los Angeles, yes, and did the regional theater and TV commercial kind of stuff for a while. LA schools are really supportive of that. You just tell your teacher, hey, I'm in a commercial, and they're like, here's your take home assignment.
Yep.
So it was like a good place to do that. I really loved acting. I think that's why I'm a director too, is I very happy, because the more experience I get in my career, I know that means the more kind of like really devoted actors I get to work with, or very actors I've looked up to who basically like dedicate their life to the craft. And those kind of people like really give back, like make me feel I have a purpose as a director when I get to work with them. It's just so crazy. It feels kind of like a religious experience is working with actors like that.
Yeah.
And I've met so many now that are kind of like in my little Wes Anderson, like I will cast you in everything bubble. Yeah, I'm just really lucky in that way. I feel like I have had that experience as a director, and not everyone gets to have that experience. But I think because I was an actor, I have so much respect for acting. And yeah, I still act a lot. I have 2 auditions this week. But it's funny, like I feel like, so I was doing that. I went to, my undergrad was in musical theater. I moved to New York City and I was in a lot of musicals there. And I did a couple national tours. So that was, my 20s was a lot of that.
So a lot of like being on the road all the time consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you live in New York, what you do is they call it pound the pavement. So I want anyone listening to this to know there's like no shame in being a server, because I have only gotten in this seat because I've had serving jobs that have paid the bills. So for so long I was working really successfully, but not be able to pay the bills that way. So I would go in the morning at 5 a.m. and I'd sign up because I was non-equity. So I'd sign up to audition. I'd go to my job, and then at lunch break, I would go back and try to audition, see if, they usually have like 300 names on that list. But if they already went to yours and they missed it, sometimes they're nice and they'll go back and say, oh yeah, you can audition. And then I'd do that. And then I'd run back to my job, my serving job at Madison and Vine and like Midtown Manhattan. And so that was kind of my life for a couple of years. And then when you book something, it's not in the city. It's like some little regional theater outside of the city that came to New York to hold an audition. So I would be a resident artist at different theaters and do that for a while and still audition for TV. But I just, I would always get really far in Broadway auditions, like really far for the callbacks. And it would be me and 2 other girls, and they wouldn't get the part. And I would have my agent ask, like, what happened? And they said, well, you kind of wanted to direct the role too much.
You kind of wanted to take my job.
Yeah, they're like, you were given feedback, or you given direction, and you would take some of it, but you weren't very directable. And I was like, well, the direction wasn't good. Ooh. Like the character wouldn't do that. And some of the directions were not good. Yeah. They were completely like, they didn't read the script. And I mean, like really, really, now that I'm a director, I can say that. Like I think they were trying to prove like, this is what I do. I am the director. And I wonder if like some of these New York theater directors, they almost like saw something that challenged them in my performance, because they were like, that was a great performance, but like, because it wasn't something they crafted on their own.
Yeah. And
so I remember like, yeah, in my early 20s being like, I might be a director. And I had been writing since I was 9. I had been writing like screenplays constantly since I was 9. I never shared them with anybody. Like to this day, I still haven't. But I wanted to create, and I just didn't want, but I didn't want people to be like naysaying about what I was creating. So I just kept it to myself. And I think that was for directing too. For some reason, it felt so personal. And I was like, no. And then I went to this short film academy thing at New York Film Academy, which was incredible. And I got to work with peers from all over the world. And they helped me realize like the beauty of a collaboration and collaborating with people who are very different than you and different cultures. I just loved that. And the films we made were really like a combination of all of our personalities. And I was like, wow, this exists. Because as an actor, I was never emboldened to have my own opinions.
Yeah.
It was like some directors, because I worked with a lot of great directors. I really have. And I learned a lot from them from the other side of it. But yeah, I just noticed a lot of the time it wasn't like actors, as an actor, you felt like you were just kind of, I don't know, scenery maybe, or you weren't treated with the kind of respect that actors deserve. Because what kind of relationship it's such a weird relationship between actor and viewer, because they're basically like, let me go into myself and I show you the most vulnerable parts of me that most people would only share in therapy. And then let me let you see that in your home while you're watching, while you're eating dinner, you know, like on your screen. Like, let me show you that. So it's just such a like amazing thing what they do. Yeah. So I got to make that film. And of course, I cast myself in the lead, though.
Of course. Because you are the only one that knows how this is supposed to be directed and done.
Well, and I never want to do that again. Like, I never want to cast myself again. But it was from my own, like anxiety of, I really want to respect this actress and I don't know what I'm doing yet. So I actually cast a different girl who she was great as the lead in the first short film I made. The first short film I made is the film I'm most proud of, the artistic style.
Okay. And what is that called?
It's called Insanely Successful. It's like a Stanley Kubrick-esque horror film.
Okay.
About very dark film and a little bit Aronofsky-esque about an actress. The log line was on her Christendom to fame. On the eve of her Christendom to fame, one actress must confront her empty sacrifices for success.
Interesting.
And she the film ends, she dies in a bloodbath with her Oscar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like really, really, really symbolic and dark.
Yeah.
But I just had some thoughts swirling around, I guess. And I really always felt this like compassion for famous people and like how they're viewed by others. So yeah, so that film, I was like, okay. I even wrote the girl's name as the lead, the actress. And then I told her a couple of days before, like, hey, I think I'm going to play the part.
Oh my God.
But you can be in it still. And so it was horrible. I like wrote this role for her that was also cut.
Yeah.
So, but she came to set and I was like, oh no.
You're
so
like, I'm never going to do this again to someone.
Yeah. I learned a lot of lessons. I mean, I think that's all that like directing at this age is like learning lessons. But so we made that one and I loved it. And, I was like, oh wait, I could do this like for a living. And my professors said like, you know, you should take this more seriously. You have potential to do this. And so I started directing commercials, like little things here or there, wherever I could get a budget together from clients and brands. And so I started doing that and I loved it. And it was really great, like establishing those relationships. And then I applied to USC and I got waitlisted twice. The first time I got off the wait list, I was already, I was about to leave for the national tour of Evita as one of the, as part of the ensemble for the regional tour. And so I had to turn down the spot for my waitlist spot, which was really hard. And then I just like, you know, I filmed the entire countryside from my window. On my little digital camera, my Sony A7S II. And I filmed the whole, instead of like enjoying performing, my favorite part of the tour was filming like these beautiful, like gorgeous Western landscapes. And my castmates were like, Jacqueline, you just want to be a filmmaker. Like, come on, you don't even want to be on stage.
Go be a filmmaker.
Yeah. So,
but you know what? Timing is everything, right? And everything happens for a reason. And I think that you're right on track to where you need to be. I mean, you're doing some pretty incredible stuff. I mean, some stuff that we hopefully can talk about, something that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're running a little short on the time. I want to keep it pretty condensed here. But I think you're right on track to where you are supposed to be and where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
Right. And your stories are to where they are. And I think everyone, especially that saw BACKLOG and anyone that's seen any of your work, is really excited to see what you're doing next. If you could, just for a few moments, can you share a little bit about like what's currently happening right now? Like some stuff that happened with Sony, I believe.
Yeah. So I got to work at the soundstage there for, it was 31-ish days. They were amazing. So a company, a tech company that's involved with USC basically wanted to test out some of their initiatives, test out some of the technological advances in particularly virtual production, like LED wall volume space. And so we were able to work on Stage 7, which is Sony merged with a company called Pixamundo, and they are amazing VFX company. And yeah, they merged together and they were able to help us make that film, which was crazy experience. It was really amazing. Yeah, I just looked at the credit list and I was like, oh my God, there's so many people who worked on this film. But yeah, that was great. So I wrote and directed that one.
So cool.
Yeah.
Don't forget your name is on that credit list too, which is kind of cool.
I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But yeah, it was great to work with them. And I had an amazing in-house post-sound team as well. And the post-production facilities at Sony, so we were at the Culver City lot, were just incredible and like state-of-the-art kind of sound mix, soundboard, sound mix. And it was great to work with their team. That was Mandel Winters, who was I always mess up the exact title for the sound department, but I think he was the supervising sound editor for American Fiction, and such a great film. And Ryan Collins was our sound designer, and mix sound recording mixer, and he just did White Lotus. And so it's great because our film is about the ocean and about the environment. It is a film about space, but it's called Europa, which is Jupiter's moon. But truthfully, that the essence of the film is about the ocean, and the film is about the ocean and Europa speaking to the main astronomer on this kind of capitalist billionaire 1% mission to steal the resource for Earth.
Wow.
So yeah, and basically the ocean throughout the film is trying to tell her, like, I trust you. Like, I don't trust them, but I trust you. And she knows the whole time, like intrinsically, like the film is her questioning, like, okay, you trust me, but should you trust me? Because after all, I'm still a human being, and human beings don't have a great track record of treating nature very well. So that's the theme. It's very environmental and capitalist themes to the film.
Yeah. And what is the title of that?
Europa.
Europa. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Recently, we sent a mission. It's unmanned right now, but I'm on the side of science, but I don't know how I feel about private companies getting involved.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be looking forward to seeing that once it's,
Sure.
When do you think it'll be ready?
That's a great question. So, I think final color is like next week or the week after. So we're definitely getting closer, but it really depends on, the strategy, festival strategy, all those things. Kind of leave that to the producers.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure everyone that's listening is looking forward
Thank
to
you.
it. Keep it on your on your watch list. Europa.
It's funny, like that is almost at its end. But I also am working on a feature called Gaslight, and that is out to some of my favorite one of my favorite cinematographers is taking a look at it. So that would be really great. And that we're on a list to be a co-production with a company that is very prominent in Spain. So they would maybe be partnering with us to make that film as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any last things you want to share about yourself?
Yeah.
Go for it. No, go for it.
I recently, this has nothing to do with film. I recently got involved with a company called Pups Without Borders.
Very cool. I'm interested. I love puppies.
I fostered a dog right now who was displaced from the fires. So I just want to shout out anyone who might be wanting to do a good thing and opening up your home or have time to do it. That was an amazing experience. It's called Pups Without Borders. They rescue dogs from other countries, but also from the community. And my foster was incredible. I miss her so much, but she has found her way to her home. So it's okay. But it's been an incredible experience. And I brought her there to take her to her family. And the owner is so down to earth. She was just there walking around, and I didn't know she was the owner. And she spends all her time there just taking care of them, and so down to earth, so grassroots. And if you're looking for an organization to get involved with who's doing it for all the right reasons, that was it. So yeah, Pups Without Borders.
Pups Without Borders. I love it. I love dogs. Love puppies. I would love to foster dogs, but
Great.
My dog is a butthead.
Oh no.
And they would be fine. Any dog after 5 minutes, no problem. But Tobin loves to Tobin loves to bark at anything that moves in the front window.
Oh.
And so I would never want to teach that to any other dog, especially a foster dog who's going to eventually go live in someone else's home.
Tobin.
So
That's fair.
maybe one day you'll get to meet him, but Pups Without Borders. So
Yeah.
but no, thanks for sharing a little bit about yourself
Yeah.
and just kind of getting a peek behind the curtain a little bit about your life. And I'd
Sure.
love to hear that. If we honestly, I could probably talk for hours with you about just, I loved getting to know people and how they got to where they are. Being a small business is hard. And that's why each episode, we're going to take a moment to shout out a different small business. This week, we've chosen South Orange County's new Italian spot, Trattoria Trullo. And Chef Marco, if you're listening, your lasagna is phenomenal. If you're interested in checking out this restaurant, make sure you visit their website, trattoriatrullo.com, or go to their Instagram page at Trattoria Trullo. And with that, we'll see you in the pod. Would you like to play a little game called This or That?
Oh my God, what if I said no, Brian?
We're
Yes,
still going to
do.
play it anyways.
I do want to play. I do.
And this segment is sponsored by Coastline Travel Advisors. Go to coastlinetravel.com for all of your travel needs. If you're looking to go anywhere in the world, coastlinetravel.com. Great company. So I'm going to be throwing these papers everywhere, which is just so much fun. But we're going to crack down to 20 questions.
Okay.
And some of them are going to be probably pretty quick, and
All right.
some of them are getting a little more intense at the end. So,
Okay.
are you ready?
I'm very ready. Yeah.
All right. Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
All right. Tacos. Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy?
Wheel of Fortune. I love when they get the answers wrong.
Ooh, you like when they get them wrong.
Because I'm like, no, come on, guys. Like, come on, really?
There's some really good YouTube videos about that.
Yeah.
Brunch, like a Sunday brunch or happy hour?
Brunch.
Brunch. Is it the food or the drinks?
All.
All the above. Bottomless mimosa says, let's go.
The chilaquiles.
Ooh, chilaquiles. Rich and famous
Ooh,
or rich and unknown?
rich and unknown.
Okay.
Don't want to be famous.
I like my privacy. Bad breath or body odor?
Ooh.
You got to choose
Neither?
one. No, you got to choose one. You got to choose one.
Bad breath. Because then you could just make sure they don't talk, I guess.
Well, you're going to be rich and unknown, so no one's going to be around you anyways.
That's true.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
All right. No technology or no nature?
Wait. I'm confused by the question. No technology or
No technology or no nature?
Oh, no technology.
No technology?
Yeah.
I don't need to be a director.
I don't know.
That means there's no movies.
I mean, there's got to, maybe it can be immersive. I don't
It's
know.
a weird question.
I don't know. No,
Time-
it's okay.
Time machine or magic wand?
Time machine.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
it. Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Staying with the movies.
I want to go into the future
Okay.
with the time machine.
That might be one of the questions. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Stay in or go out?
Go out.
This is a weird one. No legs or no arms?
No arms. I like to walk.
Best player on a losing team or worst player on a winning team?
Worst player on a winning team.
Let someone else have the fun. Disneyland or Disney World?
I've never been to Disney World, so Disney World.
Disney World. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been, so I'm going to go. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like that. Underestimated or overestimated?
Underestimated.
Love it. Underdog. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Got to. Create the big idea or fine tune the micro details?
Create the big idea. Hate details. Ask anyone who's ever worked with me.
I hate details except for when I'm directing.
No, I hate them too.
I know exactly how I want to direct your film. Okay, you have to remake one of these films.
Okay.
The Goonies or The Sandlot?
Oh, The Sandlot.
Sandlot?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Make it an all-girl team.
There you go.
Like Parent Trap, like vibes,
Yeah,
like that
no,
camp.
I love it. I love it. Maybe that's a future film. Who knows? Work with Katharine Hepburn or Meryl Streep.
Oh God, I think for some reason my brain said Katharine Hepburn, but I love Meryl. I think both. I gotta say both.
They're so amazing.
Meryl Streep playing Katharine Hepburn.
I kind of set you up because it's like the top 2 female actors of all time.
Well, a biopic about Katharine Hepburn where Meryl Streep plays her.
Let's go. That's a win-win. We already kind of talked about it, so it's already kind of happening. But keep Backlog as a short or turn it into a feature.
Oh, feature.
I didn't.
No, it's okay.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that question came up already.
Yeah.
Make one $20 million film or $21 million films.
$21 million films.
Has to, right?
Yeah.
Earn those points on the back end.
Too many ideas that are too powerful that people need to get out there.
Take less money up front, get paid on the back, produce a product that everyone loves.
Yeah.
And 20 products.
There we go.
That means that so many more people get to make films. Best director or best picture?
Both.
I'll let you have that one. You have to answer this one, though. Win at Cannes or win at Sundance?
Cannes. I mean, Sundance is great, but I've been to Cannes, and that's just a whole nother thing.
Such a beautiful place, too.
It's just like, it's so artsy. And I love being, doing commercial things. I do, but I hope the next year of my life is dedicated to art.
And shout out to my favorite restaurant there in Cannes.
Where?
A place called Da Buteau.
Where is that one?
It's in Old Cannes, like up the cobblestone.
Yeah.
And it's up on the right-hand side. It's a Michelin star restaurant. It's amazing.
La Buteau?
Da Buteau.
Da
D-A
Buteau.
and then B-O-U-T-T.
We ate so much food there. So me and my actors were there for 14 days because we had this lovely family that I know said, "Do you want to stay in our place for free?"
Oh, wow.
You just had to pay for the air conditioning. We're like, okay, sure. And it was amazing. So they were 15-minute walk to Cannes, to the festival. Yeah. Goes to show you should take every job you have, because I loved that family and I babysat their children and that are their grandchildren, and that's how
cool.
I found.
So cool.
Yeah. So who would have guessed? So we were there for 14 days.
Yeah.
And because we didn't really have any expenses to, and our flight was partially covered, so we were like, we're gonna spend everything that we saved on food.
You got to eat a lot of croissants and pain au chocolat.
Oh my God, we ate so much food.
And the breakfast there, the brunch is so good.
Oh, it was great. Actually, the funny thing we learned about Cannes is most of the restaurants were Italian that we loved.
Oh, wow.
It's just like there were so many Italian restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we thought it was funny. We actually struggled to find French food for the first couple days. There was like one cafe, and then other than that, it was like a bunch of Italian food.
Well, now next time you can go to Da Buteau.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
It's a little French restaurant, and they make everything, like all the grilled stuff is all done on an open fire.
Oh
so
my gosh.
it's
I
amazing.
wish we had.
I'll show you some pictures.
We'll have to go back.
I'll post some pictures on the podcast.
We'll have to go back to when it can. Yeah.
Maybe with the feature of Backlog.
Maybe with the feature of Backlog, truthfully though, I think Gaslight will be there.
Gaslight's
like,
gonna make it.
I'm not even like, I'm pretty sure. Like it, I sat there and watched the films because it was so nice because we had the press, or not press, because we had an official badge for Cannes, we could go see all the films. So we went to the premiere of a couple of films, which was so funny because we're like, how did we sneak in here? Like, what's going on? But yeah, we went to some of the premieres, and I remember like we went to the Wes Anderson film that was there, Asteroid City. And so we're just sitting there, just like taking it all in. And I remember seeing some films, and I was like, "Oh my God, I think I need to start pitching Gaslight." And I'm still like very new at this direct, like what's the word for it?
Being a filmmaker.
No, I've been
doing a podcast.
I've been a film, like I've been directing for almost 9 years, but it's like being able to like pitch your projects is different.
It's such a different world of pitching things now, especially with streaming and how things change with that, because I go to Cannes for a different reason, because I go to Cannes for content, and I talk to different distributors and stuff like that.
I'm jealous.
It is fun, but it's also like
like
talking to people about deals and stuff. Like there's still some films that people like, hey, I want like a certain dollar amount for this, and then some people. So it becomes a trickle down question of not just how much you want to sell your film for, but then also we go back to when we said $21 million films, because the lower your budget is, the more profit you can make on the back end too. So there's just so many things that go on there. But
I didn't know that you went there for that purpose. So you'll actually appreciate this, Brian. So like I had no experience pitching. Okay. This is before I had my agent, my manager, and my lawyer, and I love them. I'm very grateful. Like I'm at 3 Arts. I'm at CCE, Paul Weitzman. Like they're a really great team, but I didn't have them then. So I didn't know what I was doing at all. And I knew we were going to camp for 14 days. And one of my professors, who's great, his name's John Palmer, and he actually was there at the same time as me. His film, he just produced September 5.
Okay.
It's a Best Picture nom. And he was there with Black Flies, which he also produced. He works with Sean Penn and that company. Sorry, Sean, I don't know the name of your company. But he was like, oh, you are nervous at pitching, because I told him, I was like, I hate like selling myself. It feels so gross. He's like, no, you're talking about the project. I'm like, yeah, but you have to talk about you. And he's like, why don't you use this opportunity to bring something to pitch? And so I developed this Gaslight in his class. He teaches intermediate producing at USC. So I said, okay, cool. And so I started pitching it, and these companies were like, this sounds great. When are we going to make it? And I was like, what? Like the script was so bad. Like it wasn't, but I was so passionate about it. And so I brought it to Cannes to all these distributors, and they were like, let's do it. And I was like,
that's awesome.
What is like, this is terrifying, because I didn't know. I thought, all I heard is it's a rejection after rejection, and you have to like put, and
you never know. You never know. And that's actually, so shout out to my brother. And before we go into the movie review section of this podcast, but shout out to my brother for telling me that if you ever want a girl's number, go ask for it, because you never know what they're going to say.
Is that your wife?
No, not how that story ends. But like my wife and I met in a totally different way. But either way, I don't take that for asking for a girl's number. I'm like happily married, got a beautiful little kid. But I apply that to life in general, because it's like you just never know. You have to shoot your shot. You have to take your chance, because if you don't, you never know what could actually happen. And there's some amazing films that need to be made. So filmmakers, please listen to this. Like, make sure you be ready to pitch at all times.
And anytime I've like really wanted a job, and I think I told you, Brian, I'm up for a couple right now that I really freaking want. And like anytime I've really wanted it, it doesn't happen. Yeah. It always happens when I didn't expect it at all. Like Europa, I didn't plan at all. Yeah. Backlog, I like actively was terrified of making it. And I was terrified of making the feature. And then all of a sudden, like, you just got to be ready to pivot at any moment. Yeah. But the most exciting thing, though, about bringing that script to Gaslight to Cannes is I snuck into the French Pavilion, which is like, if anyone doesn't know, at Cannes there's something called Le Croisette, and it's just this long, it's just all these tents where they're housed by different European companies, and it's just very international, and it's great. And you get to walk in and literally talk to the heads of film in their country, and they're just there because it's a free ticket for them to go to Cannes. Yeah. They're not going to say no. Yep. And so I went in and I started talking to one of the heads of CNC, which is like the biggest company in French funding for films. And I was like, you know what? I'm feeling confident because all these companies said they liked my script. And I started talking about it. And this woman was like, sounds amazing. When will we film this film?
You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. And then
Are you greenlighting my film?
Yeah. And then
verbal commitment.
Yeah. And then I met my favorite DP at a film festival. He was being honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And we talked for 3 hours because we like the same kind of films. This guy's won an Oscar. He's amazing. And so I said, hey, do you want to make this film with me? He said, sure, kid, if I have the time.
Sure, like, kid.
Like you just ask. Like he's so bright. Yeah, so I don't know, like all these things, who knows if they're real, but I think if that film, if it all gets put together, that film will go to Cannes, which is really weird.
So cool. Can't wait. You let me know. I would love to go. So
dude, da bateau.
I'll get you a table there, no problem.
Okay.
I know the owner. I really do. She's a sweetheart.
Perfect.
But yeah, thanks for playing this or that. That led into some more topic conversation, which I love. I'm so glad you've been.
I just love the cards. You guys can't see. There's like
they're just everywhere. But thanks for playing this or that. Again, sponsored by Coastline Travel. And if you're ever looking to go to Cannes or anywhere else in the world, go to coastlinetravel.com and they'll take care of your travel needs. Promoting your podcast is not easy. And that's why we wanted to take a moment each week to bring attention to a new podcast. This week, we're talking about Making Movies is Hard. It's about two independent filmmakers to talk about their experiences and struggles in being independent filmmakers. So if that interests you, make sure to go check out their podcast, Making Movies is Hard. And now, back to the pod. The second part of this podcast, and this is going to be one of the first podcasts that we've released. So if you're listening for the first time, the first portion, we got to know a little bit about Jacqueline and play a little fun game. But now we get into the kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're here for, as far as it pertains to Mometu and who we are and what we represent. Obviously, a lot of independent and international films. Yes. And I tasked Jacqueline with the. I said when I called you up, I said, "Hey, would you like to be on a podcast?" And you're like, "Sure." How did you guys? Sure, kid. Sure, kid. But I asked you to do one thing. I asked you to pick a film, go to Mometu, go throughout it, and you went through and picked a Korean crime drama, which I did not see coming. You went through and you picked an amazing film from 2022 called The Policeman's Lineage. Yeah.
공수도 박강민하고 자네도 한 번쯤 들어봤을 거야.
경찰 뒤를 캐라는 말씀이십니까?
조직폭력, 마약, 도박을 물론이고 그 바닥에 꽂아둔 빨대가 돋고 독보적으로 유명한 남자.
왜 앞에 접니까?
자넨 왜 경찰이 됐어?
최민재는 내 조언으로 한다.
돈을 그렇게 막 봐도 되는 겁니까?
위에서 나오는 거니까 부담스러워할 거 없어.
일만 열심히 하면 돼.
원칙을 지켜서 할 수 있는 걸 찾아야지 왜 해서는 안 되는 일을 하는 거죠?
내가 하는 일 막으면 끝내보내 죽어도 된다는 뜻이야. 범죄 추적은 위법이 될 수 없다. 어떤 경우, 어떤 방식도.
반장님, 제가 막습니다.
할 수 있으면 해보시니까. 진짜 경찰이 되는 것과 비겁한 관료가 되는 것 선택해야 될 때가 올 거다.
전 경찰의 사명을 따르겠습니다.
I absolutely adore this film. Had a fun time watching it.
It's great.
And it's by Kyoo-man Lee, the director, and he just did a phenomenal job, at least my thoughts. But I would, first of all, love to know, how did you even come to find The Policeman's Lineage through your search, and why did you pick it?
I'm a big fan of Korean films. I just, I don't know. I've for years I've just loved studying the camera angles and the stories. I don't know. They really are. What's the word for it? They don't put anything in that doesn't need to be there. It's like very intentional.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's very intentional. And I've been wanting to watch that film for a long time. There's a couple other films that are similar, like series that I've been watching on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And it felt very full circle. I think I started watching a lot of foreign films after coming back from Cannes.
Yep.
I saw this film called Monster. I just saw a lot of films that I was like, haven't always been exposed to this. And also, at USC, they did try to expose us to different films culturally, which I really appreciated. I took a color class and learned a lot about Wong Kar-wai films and just films that from all different parts of the world that I just hadn't been exposed to. And French films, just really gorgeous things. And so, I just really wanted to watch that film in particular because I love crime. Mm-hmm. And I love, it felt like almost a James Bond film because I knew the plot. which I don't want to give away too much, but I knew the plot was those films follow very structured timelines. There's a villain, there's a hero, and then there's this kind of superhuman drug or this superhuman crisis that has to be defeated. And so I knew that was the plot. And so I just kind of wanted to see how they would handle it. And yeah.
Well, premise to everyone. We will keep the spoilers to as minimal as possible because I don't like being spoiled. But if we happen to, I'm so sorry. And I'll tell you to fast forward when we edit this. And I'll say, hey, go fast forward to the end so you don't hit spoilers between minute such and such.
That was pretty vague because any James
vague.
Bond
Of
movie.
But no, I really enjoyed the fact that you chose a film that was so, at least in my thought process of what you would have picked, I'm just like, this is awesome. Because I actually, like, we got the chance to work with a company called 815 Pictures to bring that film onto Mometu. Cool. And we have a bunch of Korean films on our platform, which you got to see and kind of just peruse through. So I'm glad that you chose that one because that's kind of near and dear to my heart. We got to help. We like sponsored the bar at the premiere of the film that like when it hit the United States. And so it was just really cool to kind of just be there and be a part of it and get to meet some of the people, get to meet some of the Korean consulate and which was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kyoo-man Lee, the director, phenomenal job. Yeah. And I think he personally, I feel like he out directed the story, right? Because it's just like the story's pretty Korean crime drama-esque, right? Like kind of like you mentioned, but it's typical story of like there's the issue, there's a hero, there's a villain, there's something that's going on or whatever. And it's typical for most crime dramas, but specifically to Korean dramas, I think he really outperformed the script or the story. And I just think that it was such for me, I really enjoyed watching it, and I'd love to hear your take on just how he directed the film. Sure. And were there any choices that you would have made differently, especially because you like telling people how to direct their films?
I'm just thinking, because I know what I thought was interesting is he moved. It's funny because I feel like this is gonna sound narcissistic. I feel like he directed it the way I would direct it.
That's great.
Which I mean, I think all directors are like this a little bit. Like when we see something, we're like, that is high art. It's because like you're like, I would have done it the same way. But yeah,
no changes.
But I really love like there's one moment where, or just a lot of the scenes started like you could tell he filmed the footage as if the whole thing could be a oneer. Because there was one scene where they're pulling up into a hospital. This is not a spoiler at all. They're coming into a hospital and the car hasn't pulled up yet, and it starts on this high, this low angle shot looking at the sky, and the sky's kind of dreamy, like it's at night, but it's this purple kind of color, and it's lit up because of it's reflecting the lights from the hospital. So you very clearly know, okay, this is a hospital. But the way he framed it, it came down. The camera came down and then panned a little bit to the right, and it felt like, oh, something bad's about to happen, and I don't really want to be here. But like at the same time, this is so beautiful, and I feel like, this was a scene about. It was about to be a scene about really wealthy people and the people who work for them. Or work for the government. And so it started with, oh, look at how beautiful all this is. And then the camera, it whip panned to the right. And it was kind of jarring for me. I was like, wow, I just thought that moment was really beautiful. Why did that happen? And it was because, oh, now we're in the action of the people on the ground, not the people up in the air who have enough health insurance to be in these nice rooms. And I was like, wow, it's something so small like that. And then the camera moved. The front door opened. I was like, okay, cool scene. They're going to cut to like them walking in. But then the camera continued on and had the other door, the back door open, which was the protagonist character. And it was the way that he decided to stay on which character, because I thought, okay, well, we're obviously going to keep going, and enter, the action is this front guy leading the scene. But no, you stayed with the last character you thought you would stay with, which I think was a character who came from the back. And I was like, whoa, I don't know. It kept me invested in what is this film really about? And so he set those things up. And then I guess the editor he was working with was kind enough to like sometimes I love working with my editors, but sometimes they cut into certain shots where it's hard because like as the director, you're like, oh no, but that shot was supposed to lead to this one. And I'm really lucky because the people that I've gotten to work with, that I've gotten to choose, they think a lot like me in those ways. Excuse me. A lot of the times the directors I work with or the editors I work with are also directors, which I like. I like when every person on my team is also a director.
Yeah.
Because they think like a director and that's what I want. And so I was like, his editors are thinking like a director because they didn't cut those shots when it wasn't supposed to cut. They let that inform the story. And I was like, because he probably got so much coverage. And so I noticed that a lot. And also the camera, like when he chose to make it handheld, I was like, that works. And then there's other times where it was really like smooth and it was motivated based on not what the scene was about, but who is in the scene. And I was like, okay, this guy knows how to direct really well. And so I loved that. And the music too. There were some times where I think transitions could have been hard in that, where they couldn't have landed, but he chose to like have this, I think it was like a percussion sound. And it worked so well. It just like, it inspired tension and it just played into it well. And I will say like, yeah, I never really knew where the film was going to go, which I give a lot of credit to actually the directing. Cause it was like, it felt voyeuristic.
Yeah.
Into someone's personal like loss
Yeah.
in the film. And at the end though, I really felt like it was justified. Like everything, I liked seeing, I don't want to give away anything, but I like films where there's a really clear character arc and a really clear character foil. And even just in the plot, that's what the whole film is about, is someone who follows the rules versus someone who doesn't, and like how they justify to each other that they're right.
See, this is why it's so like my mind would have never gone there, but you as a director, like you see that, and so it's so cool to, it's like, I mean, I'm just like sitting listening. I'm like, am I like on one of those like keynote panels and I'm just listening to this like amazing director talk about their film?
I just love directors.
That's a good thing, and then honestly, like
I just loved myself.
But I'm like listening. It's almost like a secondary story to like what literally I just watched again. It was just like to hear you describe that was so beautiful. But no, but that's why I say that he really kind of out directed the story, right? Like, because it was just so beautifully done. The choices that he made, as far as this, like even cinematography choices that he, like his camera work. There were some small flaws, and I don't think American users will pick up on them because they're more sound issues. And because we're watching with subtitles, unless you know Korean, you're not going to pick up on them. But I could hear them because I'm just my sound just, it always bugs me. So much. Like, I think they did some voiceovers, like for sections that maybe they didn't have good audio for. But we won't pick up on them unless you now pick up on them, because
like
I just said
in the
that.
Office, maybe.
There were multiple scenes.
Okay.
There were just spots where like I noticed the chief, and I have a little cheat sheet card because I don't want to butcher their names, even though I'm going to, and my Korean friends always make fun of me for how I pronounce Korean names. But Cho Jin-Woong, he was Chief Park.
Chief Park.
So
that's how I know him.
I could hear his voice change, where it was like a little more high pitched than low pitched.
Oh,
so like,
interesting.
and
Actually,
so
I didn't catch that.
Didn't even pick up on it, right? And
no,
so like,
I didn't. I was so focused on, because it felt like such a visual film.
Yep.
Like, I love the neon lights and the high contrast. I was just kind of like, which was hard for me sometimes too, because I had to be like, oh no, I need to look at the subtitle. Like, what are they saying? But because I just wanted to watch it, and I was like, oh no, I don't know what he's saying though. So like, what does that mean? But yeah, there was actually one scene where I wasn't looking at the subtitles at all, because I like to study if you can like tell what the scene's about without knowing
all the nonverbal stuff that's happening. You can kind of.
But I actually couldn't, because I was like, I really is this a lot of. It's very different than like our customs. So I was like, nope, I don't understand what they're talking about at all. Like, so I need to learn that.
Click the 10-second button back a few minutes and then get back and watch.
I had to.
I did that a few times myself.
Because it was like they're in the film they hand each other pieces of paper that I don't think we do here, that basically shows who is under who in the police station, like the chief, and then there's almost like it's almost like a family tree,
Yeah.
and it shows who's under them. And I was like, I don't think we have something like that, but we probably should. But it was like so clear, and so I was trying to understand their conversation, and I was like, no, I need to actually understand what they're saying, or I might miss a plot point. And I'm glad I did, because I would have missed a pretty big plot point. But yeah, it was beautiful, and it made me want to make another film, which is, I think, the sign that a film is good, because it's like
absolutely,
yeah.
especially as a filmmaker. I mean, so
Yeah.
So I did mention Cho Jin-Woong, who plays Chief Park. There's also Choi Woo-shik, who it's so weird. I see his name pronounced or spelled out different ways online. It's like Choi Woo-sik or Choi Woo-shik.
The son?
The son.
Yeah,
so he plays Min Jae.
Yeah.
Min Jae. So he's the detective, the younger detective coming up. And he was in Parasite. If you didn't see it.
My God.
He's the younger. Yeah, he's in Parasite.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
That was before this.
Parasite. Oh yeah, Parasite was way before.
Yeah.
Well, not way before, but a few years
He's
before.
like, he looks much more like charming and seasoned now. He was so young then. Like he played such
That's so cool that was like a little Easter egg for you.
Yeah,
that you
I
know it.
That's fun. I saw some sort of writing about something Parasite, and
There's a couple characters I think that were in Parasite. I can't remember the other one is.
He was so good in this.
Yeah,
he was really good in this. It was a very different character.
Yeah, and I just feel like with those two, right? They were the two main characters and really driving the whole film. But I felt like their chemistry, and don't get me wrong, I just felt their chemistry was just solid.
Mm-hmm.
Being that Cho Jin-Woong is like, he's a more seasoned actor that's been around. He actually gained weight for that role too, which is really cool. Yeah, obviously, I looked up pictures of him and I'm like, that's not him, and I'm like, it is him. It's just he gained some weight for the role, and so he looked like more of that bulkier kind of like seasoned police officer in a sense, right?
I mean, I bought it. Yeah,
and then Min Jae just coming up, but I just felt like and if people don't know it, it's kind of like a Korean Training Day in a sense.
Yeah.
A spin of it, right? But I thought their chemistry was amazing.
I did too. It's funny because I love that you said Training Day. I definitely see that, but I'm such like a James Bond spy thriller girl that I couldn't see any other movie.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that the like relationship dynamics within the film kind of caught me by surprise, because I was so much more focused on where are they going to bring the plot.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize, the relationships are the plot. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, it's hard to say anything about the film without giving anything away.
Say a few things.
I don't know. It's hard because I don't really want to give it away, but I do think people should watch it because I think it's a beautiful film, and it's really like interesting to see like role reversals in the film.
Mm-hmm.
That's like all I'll say is like how it's interesting because I made a film a couple years ago that I didn't release. It's my first feature, but I decided not to release it because I don't want it to be my first feature. I want it to be maybe like my second. Like, here's
hold
this
on
thing. But it was filmed in Japan and Asia. It was a few other countries: Japan, Cambodia, Thailand, and not Korea. But I saw a lot of similar themes to their film and mine. Because mine's called Karma, and it's about justice and duty and how we tend to do things at one point and then years later it could pay off. And I felt like that was about very similar themes in this film of like doing the right thing and then seeing it trickle out, but maybe not right away. I can't give anything away with this, with the Policeman's Lineage, but like I think the title gives it away. Policeman's Lineage. So think like lineage, like children. So I thought,
you could also just take it from the and you find out so early on in the film, it's not a spoiler. It's the fact that his dad was a cop. So it's like,
yeah, but I think it's the other part.
I know, but I don't want to go there. I'm just saying, like, we'll just leave it at that for the title.
Like his dad was a cop. It's like, why do you choose to do something? Because you look up to.
Yeah.
I think it's like you look up to a parent, but it's like, well, who else might also look up to that same parent? And I think it's like leading by example, because there is maybe like some character in this film who also looks up to the same person and becomes really important to the young detective's life. And so, yeah, and in so many of these films, I think why I'm drawn to spy, this isn't a spy, but there is like a little bit of espionage. And I think,
I mean, technically the chief is kind of a spy. He's undercover.
Yeah.
Kind of like they
This
know
is a funny
they know
one.
he's a chief, but he's like
Yeah.
like, I'm here, but I still have to fit in.
it's
Like,
like
that's
how
strange.
like in the film, the chief is basically socializing with and befriending these criminals so that he can get information from them, and also so he can infiltrate them to then take over and do good, which is an interesting theme because, and that's what the film's kind of getting to, is what is real change look like? Which obviously, because of Backlog, I'm really interested in films with these subjects. It's like, okay, well, how do you actually influence change? Because this guy was so, sure that his allegiances with criminals was going to help undermine the system. And then the film kind of shows you how that works sometimes and how that doesn't work sometimes. And it really like leaves it open-ended to interpretation of like, well, who was right? The person who just went by the rules. And the good thing about the film is it kind of like you kind of pivot between how you feel personally, because you do root for the characters. And I will say at the end, it kind of tells you how it wants you to feel. And if I could change anything about the film, I would have left the ending more open-ended.
Okay.
Because I think it's the audience's. I'm a little bit Nolan-esque. I really love not telling an audience how to feel at the very end.
Yeah.
This was great. Like, I felt great. Like, okay, I know how. Like,
I think
cool.
it's also a filmmaker thing too, because I would say like when I put myself as a viewer, just like a typical viewer, which is honestly that's what this podcast is for. I want people to get like different viewpoints. Like I'm not a filmmaker, so like I'd love to be able to get my 2 cents in sometimes. But I think some people like closure, because I one of the things that I hate as a viewer is that I hate when something doesn't end. Like it doesn't tell me, and it just leaves me on this massive cliffhanger. Sometimes it's great, like Inception, right? Like something like that is like phenomenal. I'm just like, did it fall? Like But there's sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'm glad I know how it ended, right? And if you read any reviews about this, like it opens it up for a potential sequel as well.
I think that would be great. Is that what they're doing?
It hasn't been greenlit yet, but the ideas float around.
That'd be great.
So,
that'd be great. Yeah, I thought I would
it
watch
could be.
that.
Yeah. It could be for sure. One last character I wanted to talk about was Kwon Yul. And Kwon Yul played Na, who was the villain.
Okay.
The doctor kind of guy.
Yeah.
The doctor kind of like making the coffee thing. So
the like big diplomats or the leader's son, right?
I didn't pick up on that.
Okay. They sent him off to Europe at the end.
Oh, no. Different. No, maybe it is the same guy. I don't even know. I thought it was a different guy.
He had like nice hair and a he was like laughing evil.
Well,
they
all
arrested him.
kind of have nice hair.
But they arrested him.
No, they arrested him. But like, I'm just
I think that's
talking about just how his character was, because like and that's what really stuck out about me more is, was he enough of a villain? Like that's more of my question.
I thought so, because I really don't like when it's like too much like the villain trope. I think it was good that he was just we didn't know too much about him.
He was just like smart.
Yeah, because sometimes when you know when you spend too much time building the villain's backstory, it's like you're trying. Feels like it's trying too hard to make me hate this person, as opposed to like, okay, I should hate this person, and just knowing little things about them, that's enough.
Yeah.
So I feel like they did a good job of making it not like too much of a show. It felt like mysterious, which I actually thought was good.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have Batman, right? That showcases Batman, and then you have Joker, right? So it's kind of nice that each of them kind of keeps it within its own self. Right?
Yeah, like you live with Batman, you live in his experiences, and the fact, like, but even in that example with Joker, I feel like the reason it's so powerful is you don't actually know how he got that thing. He like tells people, but it's always a different story.
Yeah.
So I think like the mystery of a villain is actually what makes a villain work. I just saw a Complete Unknown. He's not a villain in that film, but to a lot of people at the time, I think Bob Dylan was, because he was going against what was the norm.
Yeah.
And that made someone a villain. And so it's really interesting because in that film, he keeps changing his backstory of like how he got there and who he is. And I think that's why like it works.
So interesting to think of Bob Dylan as a villain, but it's like so true in that sense.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way.
I think that's why the film works is
Yeah.
because, you know, he was an anti-hero to a movement. And I think I wasn't born during that time, but I can imagine like how charged it was. And so, yeah. But in this film too, the villain is like a very wealthy aristocrat kind of leader's child. And so in those situations, I feel like I'm sure there were some things that were handed. I liked the way it was built because I'm sure some things were handed to this person.
Yeah, that's
and
so true.
I got the sense like when they were talking about the villain, they kept saying like, oh, there's a black sheep in every family. And I was like, this feels very real.
Man, this like totally makes me make sure that you need to read the subtitles when you're watching a foreign film like every minute. Because I totally missed that small part. But no, I 100% agree with you. And I always wanted, like, when I watch any movie that has an actual villain in it, I'm always curious to see, like, how did that person become who they are, right? And obviously, like, Wicked, right? Like, you get to see how she became who she is.
But I would argue that in that film, Elphaba, or no, Glinda is the villain.
Well, true, but I'm just, when you think of like the original Wizard of Oz, right? Like you think of it, so being able to see how they became who they are in a sense. I always put, like, when I see villains in films, I always like, man, I really want to know more about how they became who they are.
That's so true.
Like, how did they become Gru? Even though Gru's like the nicest guy ever, right? But it's like, again, it's just another villain type, like, question that I always have is like, how did the villain become the villain?
And I think that's why they work, because
100%.
you don't get to know. So then you know, if I ever get to make a spy film, which I would love to make, I really want to be the first female James Bond director.
That'd be so cool.
I really want that. And I remember walking through the Sony offices and just seeing all the James Bond posters. I was like, this is so cool, guys. You know, I love these films. They're like, well, yeah, it's like Sony owns James Bond. And I was like, oh, I didn't put two and two together. So it's just weird being in that space. But yeah, I really feel like the less you know about the villain, the more strong it is. And sorry, I totally agree with you. I know you weren't saying that Elphaba was a villain, but I feel like in that film, the reason why Ariana's character was so good is she was very clearly the villain.
Yeah.
And we never got to see how she became this need to be perfect. We just met her two parents. Yeah. And it was very clear that they just like put all this pressure on her to be whatever she ended up being that we met from the beginning. But yeah, the less we knew about her, the more I like felt curious about her character. And we already knew everything about Elphaba. We know where she's going to go, but the true dark horse there is what is Glinda going to do? Yeah. I already knew because I know the musical, but I think people who don't know that, talk about tropes, and have only seen Wizard of Oz, they were really mad after watching that movie. Like, oh man, my whole life I loved this character. Like, no, she's fine. But yeah. So
I wasn't mad either way. So I still love the Wizard of Oz.
A lot of little girls were mad, Brian.
I'm sure. But no, I don't want to make this about Wicked. Policeman's Lineage. Just let's go back to that. But very last thing I want to ask you about it, and this is I'm going to ask every guest about this, but the Mometu star right here. We're gonna use. We got 5 stars, and you can use half stars too. But Policeman's Lineage, out of 5 stars, what would you rate it?
I've like never given anything 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Just malicious with her stars.
I don't know. I would say I would have to say 4.5 because I've never given anything 5. Because I
really love this film. That's great.
I really do. I feel like I feel like it achieved everything it set out to do too.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, if you're a fan of like crime thrillers, which I am, then that's like, this is a film you should watch. Yeah, I think taste is very specific, but yeah.
Thank you so much. 4.5 stars out of 4.5 out of 5. I'm going to put that on the screen. That's phenomenal score.
Yeah.
And honestly, the last little tidbit about this film that I would say, it's a 2-hour film that does not feel like a 2-hour film.
No.
The pacing of this was so perfect, even though there's still kind of like 3 stories in one going on. Hats off to Kyoo-man Lee for making that happen the way he did, because it's just really well done. And again, when a film feels 2 hours long and you're just like, is this over yet? Can I go to bed yet? Right? Kind of thing. Like, this film did not feel like that.
I wanted it to be longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just was really, really well done. Yeah.
Absolutely. But Jacqueline, thank you so much for reviewing that film with me.
Thank you.
And thanks for picking it too. I'm so happy you picked that.
Yeah.
But it's been great talking with you, get to know you. I'm sure we're going to have you on as a second time, because I feel like we have so much more to talk about. And I can't wait to hear about what you're doing next.
Thank you.
With your project turning BACKLOG into a feature, with working on Europa, with working on
Gaslight.
I was like, it was on the tip of my tongue. But we're gonna Gaslight and getting that, and I hope one day you and I will both be in Cannes together.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe Mometu will greenlight your next Gaslight.
Oh, there
Let's
we
go.
Sure.
But absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for spending your time with us today on the More For Me and You podcast. If you've made it to the end, we appreciate you. Now, go do us a quick favor. Please like, comment, and share this episode. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode with the incredible guests we have coming up. You can also follow us at Mometu Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. Oh, and for your next movie night, check out the Mometu app. It's free and packed with amazing movies and shows you've probably never seen. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the pod.